Welcome back to the Tailgate Tech. I'm Andy. Today, we're going to talk about the Harbor Freight cordless lineup that they've come out with here in the last couple of years. If you've been in the stores the last few years, you'd notice that the older stuff, the Chicago Electric, is starting to go away. Starting to come out with some, I'll call them kind of name brands in the Bauer and the Hercules lineup. I was really curious to see how these would stack up against a Milwaukee. Now, both of these are brushless impact drivers, as well as the Milwaukee. It's a non-fuel, non-brushless device. So, stick around. I'm going to put them through some tests, show you guys how they do, and tell you all about them. Alright, so I got a little bit of a shootout here today between these three impact drivers. We've got the Bauer, Harbor Freight part number is 63528, the Hercules 63380, and the Milwaukee 2656-20. That's the bare tool. Talk about that a little more later. Each of these is really comparable in specs. You've got 1,300 foot-pounds, or I'm sorry, 1,300 inch-pounds on the Bauer, 1,500 inch-pounds on the Hercules, and 1,500 inch-pounds on the Milwaukee. Batteries range on the Bauer at a 1.5 amp, a 2.5 amp on the Hercules, and a 2 amp hour on the Milwaukee. All their specs are really pretty similar. The biggest difference is the price. The Bauer comes in at $69.95 before any coupons. The Hercules is $99.95 before any coupons. And the bare tool on the Milwaukee is $99. Now, each of the Harbor Freight ones do come with a single battery and a charger. The Bauer comes in a soft case, and the Hercules comes in a hard case. The Hercules also includes a couple of little accessories, a nut setter, magnetic tipped bit, holder, and I think there was one other, maybe a Phillips screwdriver, something along those lines. I was really curious to see how these would stack up against the Milwaukee. I've held these in the store. I had never used one. Never really tried them. Most of the time you go to the store, they got batteries on, but the batteries are dead, so you really can't even, see how torquey they feel. And I got offered to give my views on, how the new stuff from Harbor Freight, the Bauer, the Hercules, and, if applicable, the Earthquake cordless stuff was compared to some of the name brands out there. So your Milwaukees, your DeWalt, Makita, different brands like that. I came up with a couple tests, and I'm going to show those here in just a moment, and show you them side by side. Let you kind of judge what you think, and how it all worked out. So here's the tests, and I'll talk more about it during the tests. Alright, so here's the tests. I made it pretty basic, just wanted to do something to kind of compare them side by side. I didn't time this or anything. It was just to see if they could complete the tasks, and then at the end I wanted to kind of get the idea of how hot they were running. Being non-brushless units, they do tend to run a little bit hotter. So the first portion of the test was running in 10 2.5-inch deck screws. The Milwaukee seemed to be a little bit slow on any of the screwing in portion. I'm not quite sure why. I don't know if I've got an issue with that unit. I'm going to have to look into it a little bit further, but we'll see. Next up is going to be the 3-inch long. They're about 5/16 diameter lag screw, again, no problem. You'll see with the Milwaukee, they did seem to be a little bit slow to start. Now, if you notice, I haven't started with the Bauer yet. I was actually doing this kind of voiceover during that one. The audio didn't come out all that great, so pulled the audio out, did the split screen, and doing the voiceover afterwards. The Bauer performed really well on all the tests. I was kind of surprised. For the cheapest out of the bunch, it really seemed to have the most torque, or maybe speed would be the better way to put it. But again, no issues with it running any of these in. One thing I did notice comparing the Bauer and Hercules to the Milwaukee, and maybe somebody can comment on this if you know, it's almost like the Milwaukee has some type of counterbalance in there. So especially on like the lag screws, I'd notice that the Bauer and Hercules would want to twist a little bit more in my hand versus the Milwaukee, where the Milwaukee I could kind of keep it in line. The Bauer and Hercules, though, especially as it started to get towards the end or a high torque area, would want to twist to the side a little bit more. I don't know. If you know, put something down in the comments. The final test was drilling 5 1-inch holes with a self-feeding bit. These do tend to take a lot of torque. I know some smaller cordless drills really have a hard time running them through. The impacts, I've never had any issues with them, but I do know that this is kind of a stressful one, so I figured this was a good test for them too. The Milwaukee, I'm actually stepping away for a moment. My phone was ringing in the background, so I had to go silence that. I'll be back over in just a second to start with the drilling on it. The Bauer, the first two, if you noticed, I was right on top of a knot in the wood. Not exactly the greatest spot to start at. But you can see how much quicker the Bauer's going than the Milwaukee, with how late the Bauer started. Here you'll see my hand on the Hercules one. I actually pulled out the thermal imager to get some temperature measurements at the motor side and the head end. And after this is done, you'll see the pictures from those, see the temperature readings, and that's about it. Well, watch the rest of this, and I'll talk to you a little bit more here in a moment when we get to the thermal images. All right, here's the thermal images. First one up's the Bauer. This is the motor end. You saw it was 125 degrees at the head. It's 120. Here's the Hercules, 114 at the motor. And 122 at the head. I think that was the highest head temperature out of the three. Here's the back end of the Milwaukee, the motor side, 119 and 115 at the head. I kind of figured the Milwaukee might have a little bit better cooling in there, but it didn't.
As you can see, the tests all went great. I didn't have any doubts that all 3 of these would complete the tasks at hand. I didn't do it anything too fancy or too strenuous. I mean, 10 deck screws, 5 lags, and 5 1-inch holes. The temperature at the end
that was a little bit surprising. I kind of figured the Milwaukee would run a bit cooler than the other two, but the temperatures were actually all the same. Being that they are brushed units, they do tend to have more heat output than a brushless unit. They also don't tend to have quite the torque. One thing I will say about all three of these that I'm not a big fan of is the chuck on them for your hex bits. It's common on these lower end models. They're not where you can just pop them in. You've got to push it in, pull the ring out, pop it in the rest of the way, then let it go, pull it out, pull the ring forward, take the bit out. I know unlike my Milwaukee fuel ones, push the bit in, it latches in place, you're done. You don't have to go back through and do that again. All of these stacked up right alongside of them. I'll have to say I was probably most impressed by the Bauer. When we got done, the Bauer, which their battery level meter on the back, I don't know if you'd be able to see this or not, but you've got 3 little lights on there. So I haven't used this since the tests, and you can see there's 2 of the 3 lights lit up. The Hercules, that one has a 4-bar indicator, and it's got 3 lit up. And the Milwaukee fuel, the Milwaukee battery with the fuel gauge, has 4, and it still has 4 lit up. So I will say the Milwaukee motor probably is a little bit more efficient than the Bauer and the Hercules, but it's not to the point where, you know, these two lack the same performance as the Milwaukee. Both of the speeds on these, no load, was, I believe, at 2,500 RPMs. The Milwaukee goes up to like 2,750 or 2,950. But as you saw, the Milwaukee just didn't seem to have quite the speed or maybe even the torque that the other two did. Now, one thing about these is the batteries. With the Bauer, it comes standard with the 1.5 amp hour battery. They also offer a 3 amp hour battery. To buy extra batteries, they're $20 for the 1.5 and $40 for the 3.0. Hercules comes standard with a 2.5 amp hour battery, and you can step up to a 5 amp hour battery. Those run $25 for the 1.5 amp and $40 for the 5 amp hour. The Milwaukee, I wanted a new fresh battery for this one for the testing. This is something I already had and had been using for a couple years, so I ordered a 2.0 off of Amazon, and it was 35 bucks. Milwaukee, though, does offer the batteries in the M18 lineup in 1.5, 2, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 12 amp hour versions. So you do have lots of different battery options. But of course, most of the time, especially if you're picking batteries up at like Home Depot, you're going to spend double for even their lowest end battery versus what one of the Bauer or Hercules would cost you for their bigger batteries. The biggest downfall that I really see on these two is their warranty for the price compared to the Milwaukee. So let's say for about 150 bucks you could get into this Milwaukee. At 70 bucks you get a 90-day warranty and 90-day on the battery. Now, you can buy the extended warranty. 1 year is about $15 and 2 years around $20. I do not believe that covers the battery, though. I could be wrong on that. I wasn't able to really find much detail on Harbor Freight's website in regards to that, so I can't really comment, 100% on it. The one thing, though, if you do go with their extended warranty, I believe they are over-the-counter exchange. So
you can just go into your store, tell them what's wrong with it, and I guess they give you a brand new one. The Hercules for $99.95, same deal, 90-day warranty. I really think they could at least offer a 1-year warranty on that one for that $99, and I'd really kind of hope that maybe in the future they do offer that, because honestly, especially for like a homeowner or somebody just getting started, I think this would be a great option instead of going out and spending the money on a Milwaukee or a DeWalt. But that's kind of all up to you. The other big thing that I see is the platform. Now, I'm heavily invested into Milwaukee, especially the M18 lineup. I can't really justify adding another platform to my toolkit. Now, that's not to say I wouldn't consider having one of these, like maybe in the laundry room, so, you hang a picture or something, I could grab it real quick and go. But I can't really see investing too much more than, the impact driver, maybe even possibly a drill as, like I said, kind of an in-house kit. But otherwise, I probably wouldn't go any further than that. The other thing is the batteries between these two are not interchangeable, and the size of the platform. And when I say the size of the platform, I'm talking about the tools that are available. So with the Bauer, when I was at the store, it looked like there was about 10 different tool options that would work off the Bauer battery. The Hercules had about 7, I believe. And it's kind of odd that their lineup is staggered. So when I first looked at them, I kind of thought, well, maybe, one's based for a mechanic and one's based for construction. But after looking at their tool lineups, it's kind of all over the board. So if I wanted a circular saw, I'd have to go with the Bauer. But if I also wanted a reciprocating saw, say something like a Sawzall, I'd have to go with the Hercules. Like I said, the batteries don't interchange. So right there, I'd have to get 2 different platforms just to have those 2 tools. Whereas with like Milwaukee, DeWalt, they offer all those tools and then some. I'm sure Harbor Freight is going to expand the line. Maybe another year, maybe 2. It's hard to say. I do think they are great units. They seem very high quality. The weight between the Milwaukee and the cheap Bauer is basically the same. They've got all the features of the big brands. The LED lights on the front. In fact, they throw 3 on the front of the Bauer. You got the one at the bottom of the, just above the trigger, like most of the Milwaukee and Makita, and can't comment too much on DeWalt, but I'm sure they're pretty similar. Milwaukee's got the little trigger light too. Honestly, for the money, I think they're great. If you're just starting out, or maybe you need something for home, or a backup for home. Otherwise, if you're already on a platform, I'd say stick with it. So, anyway, that's my thoughts on them. Tell me down in the comments what you guys think. If you've used them, tell me your experiences. Good, bad, no comment on them. Whatever you got. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, click that subscribe button, and if you want to get my latest videos, click that bell icon to get notified when I drop a new video. Have a good day.